Hello everybody, Daniel here, bringing you a Team Fortress 2 highlights commentary. This is the small bits. We're looking at the general weapon tweaks and updates that have occurred as a result of the TF2 Summer 2013 update. Me and Stuart worked hard to showcase each and every weapon tweak that is in the game now, so let's have a look. And we are starting with the Winger. The Winger actually has purpose now. Not only does it have the standard increased damage on hit that makes you kill Stuart, nice and handy, it has an extra jump height. So this is the standard scout jumping up. This is as far as it normally jumps. Notice that he's hitting just at the bottom of the sign. When he double jumps, he reaches just up to the top of the sign. But now, if we're going to trade Stuart the Winger here, notice how much higher that he immediately jumps. His initial jump almost sends him to the top of the sign itself, which is fantastic. And when he double jumps, he actually makes it to the top of the air vent, which is attached to the sign. Now this is actually pretty cool. It means that you're going to be able to get to a few new locations. Combine this with the atomizer, we can actually get a triple jump off as well, which means that you can get even higher than you could previously. And combine this with the force of nature. We were rubbish at this, but we tried our best. You can jump pretty far if you can time this right. You essentially have 4 jumps with an increase plus 25% jump height, which is pretty cool. This means the scouts are going to be able to get into all new sorts of places in TF2, which is kind of nice. Unfortunately, this update kind of tweaked all those places that you can get into, but it's still nice to have. So, on to the next weapon, the Criticola. Only a very minor change for this. Criticola functions usually as it normally does with the mini crit damage, but instead of taking mini crits as damage when you drink it, it's actually just plus 25% extra damage. It's pretty much the same though, you're still gonna die. It's essentially a mini crit, just a little less going. Beggar's Bazooka now. This one's actually we didn't spot at first, but when you overcharge the rockets, when you load them into it and keep loading them, what actually happens is it decreases a rocket each time one misfires in the rocket launcher. So you can't just keep exploding forever on the start and do some like crazy rocket jumps in something like TF2 times 10. You can actually see it's depleting, and after 3 misfires, you have to load up the rocket launcher from start once again. Doesn't stop me from exploding myself even with the gunboats on, but what are you going to do? Rocket jumps, what does this mean? Yes, you're not going to be able to do as many crazy rocket jumps with this because you essentially now only have 3 rockets for that. Normally, you could get up to about 6 if you had the gunboats, meaning that you could get some ridiculously high places with this thing before. Now you are stuck with 3. So this, again, is probably the general map tweak and how you can't really get up to all these high places anymore. It's in line with all of those tweaks. It's a pretty interesting tweak though, that actually decreases when it misfires. On to the next tweak, the Conqueror. I got my facts horribly wrong with this one actually. This one has always had the build rage on hit mechanic. No one was ever just really paying attention to the Conqueror though. And I didn't really read the weapon description, but that's always been there. What's new with the Conqueror though, it now adds a speed boost when you actually build up your rage meter. This is like the effect of the disciplinary action except it's an aura for the whole group. This is pretty cool. It's a bit situational, not really sure what the uses for this are going to be yet. But it's pretty cool that the Conqueror is getting something else to kind of add to its perks, because this weapon needs them, no one really uses it. Moving on to the Cowmangler. Cowmangler actually has new sound effects applying to it, and the minus 10% damage reduction, that is now gone. It also only has 4 rockets now, and the reload speed is on par with the regular rocket launcher. So this is kind of now a trade-off with the standard rocket launcher. Essentially, if you want the extra fire capabilities, no ammo, against the building damage reduction. So that's actually pretty cool. Hopefully this will be like bring some new life into the Cowmangler now. When this thing came out, it was all deemed overpowered. Then there was some tweaks. Then it was useless. Now they're tweaking it again to hopefully get people using it again. So I don't really know what's going to happen with the Cowmangler following this, but it's pretty cool, and the sound effects sound like they have a lot of impact, which is actually a really, really cool sound. Really a huge fan of that. On to the Escape Plan. The Escape Plan, when you have it out now, you actually mark for death, meaning that you'll take mini crit damage. So this is kind of like a tweak to kind of nerf the Escape Plan in contrast to the other soldier melee weapons. You're essentially marked for death, and the thing with the Escape Plan is though, when you take it out, generally you're low on health. This essentially means is when you have the Escape Plan out, you're pretty much going to die in one hit. If you're moving at a reasonable rate, you're just going to die if you're hit because you're marked for death. This is kind of just a nerf to it, but it's not too bad of a nerf because you're nearly dead anyway. So that's not that bad. On to the Liberty Launcher. The Liberty Launcher now has 4 rockets in its shell, but deals 25% less damage. So this is kind of a tweak. Instead of actually having the standard 3 rockets with the faster rocket speed, it's now the fast rocket speed with 4 rockets and a damage reduction. That's pretty cool. Hopefully that brings some life to that weapon. On to the original. We haven't really noticed the original, but apparently it has new sound effects. When the rockets land on the ground, you can kind of hear they echo a fair bit more. Maybe a bit difficult to hear over me talking, but that's one that you can try out for yourself. It's got new sound effects. It's a very minor tweak that they added to it. On to the Phlogistonary. Phlogistonary got a very subtle update. Essentially, your meter used to reset when you went to a resupply cabinet, no matter what stage it was on. That is now fixed, so even if you charge up your meter slightly, you can go to a resupply cabinet and it will stay the same. It does not reset, as you can see here. So I guess that's kind of nice for those harvest scenarios when you're trapped in spawn and want to build it up. Onto the Power Jack. The Power Jack now has a slightly modified version of the gas jockey set applied to it. While it is deployed, your movement speed increases by 15%, and as you can see, you can kind of keep up with on par with a scout. Unfortunately, while it is active, it is 20% extra damage from all sources, so it's a bit more extreme of the gas jockey set just for the Power Jack, but it's nice that this weapon has it, because let's be honest, no one really used the Power Jack. It only saw use for the gas jockey set. Now it might be viable as an individual item. Onto the Charge and Targe. This one's cool. You don't take afterburn damage now with the Charge and Targe. Everyone was using the Splendid Screen, no one was really using it this much. This is great. This is actually really cool. As you can see here with the Scorch Shot, I'm taking absolutely no afterburn damage. This is gonna let Demo Knights get out of a lot of situations easier, and it also debates if you should take the Splendid Screen over the Charge and Targe, because that's what everyone essentially did. But this is a cool little neat extra perk for the Charge and Targe. Hopefully it brings some new life to this weapon. On to the next tweak, the Loose Cannon. This actually has the Double Donk effect now. When you charge a rocket just moments before it's about to explode in your chamber and fire on the enemy, not only does it hit them, it also explodes in their face. It has its own unique sound effect now, as you can hear. I'm not that great at it though, and I accidentally misfire myself quite a bit with this weapon. But it's a nice little cool sound effect, having the donk in contrast to the regular bonk. That's pretty cool. It's another little sound effect change, and I'm a fan of it. It just adds a little bit more to this weapon, and it's pretty cool. It sounds really silly, by the way. Buffalo Steak Sandwich, only a minor tweak with this. It's much like the Criticola. Instead of taking mini crits as damage, you just take plus 25% extra damage. So not much of a difference here. It still works as the regular steak sandwich. Outside of that, you're still going to be dealing mini crits to everything. But it's just that slight tweak. They seem to be against the whole taking mini crits on the character now. They seem to have gotten rid of that and just added mark to death or things. Or just increased damage in general. That seems to just be happening right now. So what are you going to do? It's pretty much the same effect though. It's not that big of a deal. On to the next weapon, the Daloculla's Bard. You now restore plus 25 per health per bite in contrast to the regular plus 15. So this is actually pretty good for this weapon. It's only a very small change, but it's more viable as a kind of like a permanent sandwich that doesn't really fade away. Because you can kind of just casually use this to restore health now. Because every time you take it out, you will eat 4 bites, or take 4 bites from it even, meaning that you get plus 100 health. So if you need a bit of extra health, if you got a bit of a free moment, just take this out and switch to it. You've still got the plus 50 max health that it can give you. This is kind of nice. Hopefully this brings some more life to this weapon. Like everything in this update. On to the next small tweak. The black box apparently got some new sound effects. Like the original, this one's a bit difficult to notice. You can kind of just hear it with the echo of the rocket though. It lasts just ever so slightly longer. And again, this is something that you might want to try out for yourself, because it's a bit difficult to do it when I'm talking over. You're probably not going to hear it. But it's just a very small tweak, of course. On to the next update, the Rescue Ranger. This is kind of in the category of things that didn't really need an update in this update. It now restores plus 75 per bolt to your sentry. This is up from plus 50. So again, this is kind of like the shortstop and the quick fix. This weapon really didn't need it. As far as everyone was concerned, Nest engineers all over the place, they use this weapon, because why wouldn't you? It's great for your sentry. But now it's got this added perk to it. It also deals slightly more damage per bolt when you actually are attacking people. So again, I suppose that's a good thing, just some extra damage on people, because why not? Rarely actually use the Rescue Ranger to attack people, but it's nice that it's there. Next update, the Wrangler. At long distance, the Wrangler is now slightly more inaccurate. You can see as I'm trying to shoot through there, it jumps about a little more. It's a bit more locky on and a bit more clicky. Not as great as it was. When you die with the Wrangler though, and this one's cool, it only takes a second for the Wrangler effect to actually wear off, meaning that if someone kills you next to your sentry, they're gonna die horribly. That's fantastic. That's really cool. Crusader's Crossbow now. This weapon got new trail effects, as you can clearly see. It's no longer just firing an arrow straight in the wall, but in fact is a syringe projectile. I suppose this is to distinguish it from the Huntsman, which is kind of nice, trying to make things just feel a bit more different. The Crusader's Crossbow also got smoother reload animations in this update. You can't really notice this because it's still pretty much the same reload animation. Apparently it's a bit smoother though, so if you notice that it was a bit choppy before, try it again. It might be a bit smoother, who knows? I can't really tell. Vaccinator got a cool update in this one. When you uber someone, they are now completely invulnerable to the selected damage type that you are toggling on your target. So if you give someone 100 bullet resist uber, It's now 100% bullet resist uber. They're immune to bullets. That's pretty cool. That's up from plus 75% to a full 100% damage resist. But when you are shot with the selected damage type that you are ubering, you actually lose uber charge during your uber, so it'll actually run out a bit faster. It's kind of like the Dead Ringer side of things where you lose cloak if you are shot while invisible. The Vaccinator has now got that nerf as well, but it's not near as noticeable. It honest to god just isn't. Bizarre Bargain. This thing now starts at minus 40% charge rate, meaning that it actually takes 2 headshots, first of all, to get it up to the standard charge rate of the sniper rifle, and it'll take 3 headshots total to get it up to a place where there's actually benefit with this. So with the Bizarre Bargain, it means there's a bit more risk reward kind of taken into account with this, because if you miss, you're going to have to try and get another 3 headshots back up before you get to the point that this weapon is actually beneficial over the regular sniper rifle. So you're going to have a lot of confidence in your sniper abilities now if you want to use the Bizarre Bargain. Also, the increase in charge rate is now capped at plus 200%, so there is a limit to the amount of headshots that actually benefits it. Onto the Cozy Camper. This is amazing. You can now actually move with this thing when you're scoped. That's fantastic. Unfortunately, this actually brings with it a plus 20% damage vulnerability to all types, essentially. So you're a bit more vulnerable, but you can actually move with this thing. It's viable on places like 2-4. That's amazing. Darwin's Danger Shield not only does it give plus 25 health now, it also has the plus 15% bullet resist on it, which is pretty good. It means if a spy sneaks up with his revolver, you can actually take an extra shot. It's up to 4 shots now. Unfortunately, this comes at minus 20% explosive vulnerability, so soldier rockets are going to do a lot more damage to you. As you can see here, it was 123 per shot there, so that's a bit of a shame. Spicicle next. If you manage to be lit on fire by a pyro and your spicicle burned out and you're then killed, the knife is fully recharged when you spawn. This was a glitch that sometimes happened before where the knife would still be charging even when you get back to spawn. So that's just a slight fix for the spicicle, and that's good to see. And that's it. We're done. That's every single small weapon tweak added to the game. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Special thanks to Stuart, who stuck with me and got killed a ridiculous amount of times in this video. He did kill me a few times, but yeah, he really suffered, especially with the Bizarre Bargain footage. He suffered to make this. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, and thank you for watching.